So, talk to me about the growth of the company. I know how it's started, and you've shared quite a few experiences previously on, how you started it and where it came from. But talk to me about what the growth has been like, because it seems to have grown quite a bit in just a few years. And so, kind of explain the process of like kind of how you guys worked through it.
Do you have 24 hours?
Yeah.
So, SaturnoMovement started. It grew pretty fast, like pretty fast at the beginning. We got like 1,000 members in 7 days. I mean, you were the first one, right? Or one of the
Yeah.
first ones. So thank you for that. So the way I can summarize it is that it grew so fast that we made mistakes because of it. You were aware of the whole situation. We made more promises that we could do. So we pretty much promised that we were gonna do X amount of programs, which were a lot of programs, and we're gonna release in a month. The reason that we say that is because one, we thought it was possible, and two, we just wanted to launch as soon as possible. And we had this convention center in California where we announced it. So we got 1,000 members in pre-order, and then we have 1 month to film quite a lot of programs, more programs that a human being can do. One of my mistakes, one of the many mistakes that I made, is that I said that I was gonna do this amount of programs, but those programs were like, for example, hand balancing system and calisthenic system and yoga system were going to be 8 weeks programs. And when I had something written down, but then when we promised that we're gonna launch it in a month, then I started working more in depth in them, and I didn't like that there were 8 weeks. So I went ahead and said, okay, I'm gonna make them 2 years long. And what was going to be one program ended up being like one phase of that program. And when we released the app, that's why we didn't release the whole thing, because we only released like one part of each program. And then the whole product was incomplete. And the whole community got mad. Everybody was waiting for the hand balancing system. I am a perfectionist myself, and it took me a whole year after we launched to get to the hand balancing system. There were other areas that we couldn't fill out. There were many workouts that we couldn't do because we promised a whole front lever section, a whole planche section, a whole journey of yoga for 2 years. We promised a nutrition section, and we couldn't do it. So we were able to film 300 hours of content, but we didn't fulfill the full mission, and we haven't yet. 6 years after, there are still planets and phases that we haven't released. It's still a lot of content. It's content that cannot be consumed in 3 years, 4 years, but it's not the full vision. So one of the mistakes, I would say the biggest mistake, was not to have a clear product before promising, and then trying to make it so perfect and so big, like over delivering per se, which we ended up under delivering. So over promising and under delivering.
Hmm.
So it grew fast, and the community grew very fast, and people trust us that we were able to complete the whole programs. And after that, with all the pressure that we had, my team and I, we all pretty much crashed completely.
Hmm.
One of my business partner even had to left the company because of depression.
Hmm.
We were three business partners. Now it's just me and Jasir.
Hmm.
And I lost like 20 pounds of muscle. My practice went to shit. I stopped working out. I completely went filming mode 100%.
Hmm.
I put all my relationships to the side. I was also getting married. I had a deportation thing from the government that I had to
Hmm.
leave the United States. I couldn't drive, so I had to ask people to drive me here. I was working until 4 a.m., waking up at 12 p.m. I pretty much dig myself into the ground.
Hmm.
That was the first year.
Yeah.
Then I had to take 2 weeks off after we went to California again, and we released the famous hand balancing system. And after that, it was like a new beginning of the company, and a new beginning of Yasir, and a new beginning of Gabo, because we stopped training. So we
Mm-hmm.
were like, okay, what are we going to be teaching if I cannot even, I need to film this phase two of calisthenics, but I cannot do this phase two.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to train myself back again from the fundamentals, which is what we did to create these programs. And it was a lot of pain. It was a lot of struggle. Cost me a lot of health, I would say. Cost me a lot of relationships. And then we learn and we realize that we need to do one thing at a time. And we are still learning that because we want to do a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
We even have one app that we haven't released, the workout creator. The hand balancing system, we take it away from the app. So it's a lot of pieces that if I could give an advice, I know you didn't ask for an advice to somebody that's creating something, is to have very clear what that is, to make it simple and let the audience speak for itself. Just put
Mm-hmm.
it out there. Let the audience speak for itself, and then just add a brick every day over time. Don't try to just create the biggest possible program and vision in 1 month because
Mm-hmm.
it is not.
That's interesting because, well, it's amazing that after how the first year went, that you guys were able to take a break and come back versus thinking this is just shit. We can't do it. I have to do something else now or something. I think that really that speaks a lot to why it's still standing today is because you guys obviously didn't give up. And I think that was an amazing choice. But right there at the end, you said something about um, putting the whatever you create out there first in whatever form it is, and then I guess editing it, updating it, quote unquote, perfecting it over time.
Yes.
I like that a lot because I think a lot of creatives um, tend to dwell on like thinking that what they put out has to be perfect. Otherwise, they might not get the response they want. They may not get the satisfaction they want. They may not get the dopamine that they want, any of those things.
They never put it out.
And then they never put it out. I'm guilty of that. So I have had to retrain myself to do that exact thing of like, this is not great, but this needs to go out. And that's kind of how I would tell myself, like, if I didn't like it, or if I put something out that I didn't like, it was just motivation for the next time of don't let that happen again.
Exactly.
But the fact that it's out there means it's motivation. If I make something and I don't like it, but I don't put it out there, there's no reason for me to think about that negative aspect of the parts that I didn't like for the next time that I do it because I didn't put it out there. I didn't get any response. It didn't really trigger anything in my brain. So I like that. I like that a lot. Was there ever a point in time where, even during the first year, after the first year, you guys are still, learning a lot of things. Was there ever a point in time where you thought maybe this was a mistake? Maybe we should not have done this, as in like SaturnoMovement, or were you always like, this is going to work? You just have to figure it out.
I never had a doubt. I was always clear what I wanted to do. I do not have regrets. I think everything happens for a reason and we learn through it. But would I have done it differently? Yes, 100%. I would have done it differently and we probably would be bigger. That's my assumption
Mm-hmm.
because even though we had the community that support us throughout the whole process, I think we lost a lot of trust and we had a lot of momentum going that if we just put that simple hand balancing program, that simple front lever program, that simple programs, it
Mm-hmm.
would have covered a bigger area of people.
Mm-hmm.
And right now we find a situation that after 6 years, we do not have a handstand program. After 6 years, we only have one front lever workout.
Mm-hmm.
After 6 years, it's not a complete product, at least not on my end, and at least not of all the people that I want to target and all the
Mm-hmm.
disciplines that I know that I know I can teach.
Mm-hmm.
So I do not regret how it went because it taught us so much as human beings, and I do believe that it is not a matter of what you do in the world, but who you become as part of it. Yes, you're going to help other people, but who are you becoming in the process?
Mm-hmm.
So we become better at what we do, but I would have done it differently for sure.
Understandable. Do you guys, and so you guys were doing everything yourself from the beginning, right? You were recording it yourself, editing it yourself, planning it yourself, and everything. How was that process like, or of having to, I guess, it seemed like you had to juggle recording, planning, content, etc. for the actual academy, and then you also had to add in the YouTube, you have to add in the Instagram, you have to add in like the content side of it and the free stuff. So how was it kind of? How did you go about structuring that for you guys?
And getting married and having relationships and doing
And
what
then
we like.
everything else on top, and then everything else on top of it. Yep.
So I think that was a second mistake, which was, I don't know if there is a specific order that we should do things. Like you should be first big on YouTube and then create your product, or create your product and then be big on YouTube. But we tried to do both and it didn't work. And it's still nowadays, it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Like we can do both, but we need to have seasons.
Mm-hmm.
So if I could go back in time, I would, because that was probably the thing that also slows down the most, is like, okay, we need to keep creating all this content because the product is not complete, yet we still need to produce a single YouTube video a week. And I still need to post on Instagram every single day. And we were like 3, 4, 5 people here, and not all of them were editors. And even if I had 10 editors, it was just me and Jasir creating content, at least for YouTube. So what was the question? How did I manage it? I didn't manage it. I couldn't manage it. I had to stop YouTube for a while, which lowered YouTube reach so we can create for the academy. Then we realized that YouTube was going down, so we lowered the academy to go back to YouTube. And then we were losing members on the academy, so we have to go back and forward. And we're still there. We are still in a position where we are not at the member count that we would like to be. And we are still not reaching as many people on YouTube as we would like to be. So the approach that we're taking now is, okay, this month we're doing YouTube. That's it. The academy, it's the academy and the app and everything that has grown till now. It's stable. Like we just release a program. We don't need to release another program. So let's focus on YouTube, get a batch of videos, and then we have those videos covered for 2 months. That's what we did on December. And now in December, I can actually focus on the hand balancing system because all those videos are done. Trying to do both, it's very tricky. I came from a company called thenx, you know it, and that's something that they did very right, which was they created the app. I helped them create the app, and it was a product already. And then what I saw, they only had to focus on YouTube. So they grew YouTube to 7 million, that is right now, huge company. But the product was solid. They were not trying to create more programs, maybe one every 3 months, every 4 months, but not trying to complete an incomplete product while trying to grow an audience when you don't even have 100K on YouTube. So one thing at a time.
Interesting.
It's,
you know, I had this. So in 2021, I read this book called Show Your Work by Austin Kleon, and it kind of convinced me to start a YouTube channel. And so in 2022, after trying to train for American Ninja Warrior, now that didn't work out, after seeing a nutritionist for 3 months, felt really good. I said, okay, I'm going to try this new thing. I'm going to try YouTube. Create a booktube channel. Fast forward, like details aside, in 2023, I was like, I want to keep trying new things to figure out what I want to do with life. And I started a podcast channel because there was a lot of things I wanted to talk about that wasn't just books. There was a lot of life that I wanted to talk about. So I started a podcast channel, and I had to figure out, okay, podcast is weekly, book channel should also be weekly. I can kind of do it now. And then I thought, it'd be really cool to design clothing. And I'm someone who, when I have an idea, if I don't see it all the way through, I get really like anxious. So I said, I'm just going to try and see what happens. So then I created Fableware. a t-shirt and sweater line of book related like designs on shirts and stuff. Really fun. But to your point, I realized, okay, I'm one person. I still have a full-time job that requires multiple hours of me. I cannot make a video for I can't make videos about books. I can't do a podcast, and I can't design, launch, and market an e-commerce shop at the same time. And I was genuinely that summer that I tried to do it. I realized I could only do two of the three at any given point in time. It's only two of the three, if that. And then I realized, okay, well, I can't make videos about books if I'm not reading books, so I have to have time to read books. I don't have time to do it. I don't have time to do any of that. And so, to your point, I ended up crashing. I stopped everything this year. I shut down the shop this year. I hadn't posted a podcast episode since like there was one that happened in June, but I was already in too bad of a mental spot to even continue it. I posted like 2 book videos in the summer, and that was it. And everything was just crashing. And so now that I'm trying to get back into it, I kind of taken the exact same approach you did, where I want to release. I reached out to people to schedule podcast episodes with, and bulk record these, and then release them in January, in February, how many ever it gets till March. So I have all these set. So then in the background, I can work on the next stuff if I want. If I need like weekly book videos, that's easier for me to record because the podcast is done and scheduled and out. And I think that's a really good piece of like advice of like not trying to do too many things at one time. There's a specific type of person who always wants to do that and has to learn the hard way of it. It should not be done that way. It could be done that way. You know, you can do that. It's not like it's impossible. It's just you will be stunting yourself in terms of growth or your own mental state or your own health, or you'll be sacrificing a lot to do that.
Yeah, you will either crash or it will not be great. It cannot be great.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just cannot make amazing YouTube videos and amazing reels and be like and read books for like 3 hours a day and all do all these type of things at the same time. We can do anything, but we cannot do everything at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like trying to learn that many skills at the same time. It just do not work that way. Once you put a pause on one skill, maybe you maintain it or you just don't do it. You get this skill, and then it's just so much easier to maintain something than to get somewhere with something. Like right now we have the app, we can maintain it with 1-2 programs a week, and that's fine. So we can go all in on YouTube. But
Mm-hmm.
trying to build the app, trying to build your YouTube channel, trying to also become a better athlete, you're just gonna crash completely.
Did you ever did you ever develop a negative relationship with your training, given that you had to do a lot of movement for your now career, your job, this thing you're building, and then you also wanted to move and train for yourself? Was there ever a time where it kind of became like, I really don't want to train because I'm sick of like all this stuff?
I've gotten demotivated from training for sure, but I'm so stubborn, I would call it, that even when we just film batch like 20 YouTube videos in 2 weeks, instead of me tuning that down and I said to myself, this is gonna be a YouTube season, not a training season. Even though I said that to myself, I just couldn't contain myself and I just trained just like I would normally train. And that just dig me down to the ground because I just couldn't recover. I got sick for a whole month. Then I couldn't film more YouTube videos and I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
train more.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think it's very important that you tune down on some areas while you do other areas.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't need to completely put them to the side because that's what I did at the beginning. Like I stopped training.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't work out. Now I keep training the same intensity when I have big projects. That doesn't work out. So it's like, okay, what is the actual middle ground? Because I mean, training that just keeps me sane, literally mentally, keeps me motivated for life. So for me, the middle ground that I'm trying to find that I haven't yet implemented, it's okay, we're gonna have 2 weeks of filming. This week, I'm only gonna be training 30 minutes, 3 times a day, instead of 7 sessions, double sessions of 3 hours,
Mm-hmm.
handstands, middle, and all the goals that I'm currently pursuing. But I've never stopped training.
Hmm.
It's just, is it the smartest decision that I've done? Not stopping training? Nope. But yeah, I just cannot stop training.
How does it feel, I guess? Well, before I get to that, um, something I wanted to share with you. So I was listening to a podcast. I love podcasts, and I think we've talked about that before. But I was listening to one from Chris Williamson and David Senra. It just came out this week, um, and there was a quote in there, and you alluded to this earlier, which kept me thinking about it. Where, in order to build something, or if you're trying to build something, create something, you either have to have people around you that support you in that, or you have to have nobody around you, because it's very hard to need to put all your time and attention and detail into something and not have people around you who support you in that attention to detail and know that, okay, their time needs to be spent here. That's what they want to, that's what they need to do. I'm not going to require that. And it was interesting. It was interesting
Mhm.
because I can imagine if you had colleagues or friends or family members who didn't want you to do what you were doing, or were telling you, hey, this is bad for your health, you need to stop, or you need to slow down, or whatever it is. And if you did slow down, I do wonder, like, would you have been here? Would you have been at this point if you had slowed down, if you had made any different changes? um and I think about that often, because it can be very lonely or isolating doing something like this. And even if it is just, you and your colleagues, like, that group is now isolated because you guys are just working together, just doing things, just like focusing on the company, focusing on the brand, focusing on the content. Um, was there a point in time where you had to, like, take a step back and say, I want to, like, mend relationships, or I want to, like, start building any relationships back up again, or were you able to still, like, keep them along during this process?
So that's an interesting one. The first year of SaturnoMovement, I was getting married at the end of that year. So I launched on March, and on October I was getting married. And my ex-wife didn't support me at all. She actually hated SaturnoMovement. She saw it as a competition to herself. And it's not that I didn't care, but I had a vision so strong that I put her to the side pretty much. And not something I'm fully proud of it, but at the same time, I wouldn't be here if I hadn't done that. And my parents, they have always supported me, but they told me, "Yeah, you're pushing yourself too much," which I was. I did have to slow down, but not lose my focus. They want me to, yeah, just like go more for parties and more family meetings. And I do believe those in that moment, they were not meant for me. I had to do what I had to do, which was Monday through Monday for a whole year straight, creating programs and filming content. Not having that support and people telling me slow down, and my ex-wife would fight every single weekend, it was also part of the reason why I got burnt out, because I was trying to catch up with this and trying to focus and be completely like I knew I had to make this happen, and it would only took had to take me a full year of dedication to at least build the base. And I did not have that support at all. And it caused me a lot of pain in my relationships. I still got married. Then after I got married, she still didn't support me. So I had to balance this out between going out on the weekends and ordering Uber Eats when I wanted to save for my business. And
Hmm.
it was not the person that I needed throughout the first 3 years of such a movement. Then I got divorced, and I mean, I only lasted alone for a month because miracles,
Hmm.
a great woman happened to appear in my life. But those 4 months, I was like, damn, like I'm alone. Like I have all this time. And it was probably the most productive time of my life. Now with my future wife, current girlfriend, which supports me 110%, which fills me, which pushes me, which is like, let's not go out to the weekend to do this and that. Let's go out to film a YouTube video. Then I see that it's possible. It's still hard because you still want to kind of like life work balance in a way. I do believe it's easier when you're alone. It depends on the person, depends on the context. Easier in a way, but harder because you need to really like, if you're gonna do it alone, you need to focus. It's like, it's not I'm gonna do it alone, but I'm gonna text my friends on the weekends. It's not
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna do it alone, but I'm gonna be scrolling Instagram when I get bored. It's like
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna do it because you now have the time. And so I believe it's easier in that regard, but harder because you need to have more discipline.
Mm-hmm.
The other hand, if you have people that support you, it's easier because they understand you, they are pushing you, but you also want to be with them. You also want to not be this workaholic that does work all the time. For them and for yourself as well. It depends on the type of person that you are. Some people can really say, fuck everybody else, I'm just going to do my thing. I cannot. I have a huge empathy and huge love for those around me. So it's very hard for me to just like, I'm gonna do my thing, no matter how passionate I am, and no matter how much I know that that's what's required to create at least something huge. You can create something big, you can create something good, but if you want to create something huge, I think you have to go pretty much 95% all in.
Mm-hmm. No,
That
that's
doesn't
a
mean burnout.
go ahead.
Yeah. Like that doesn't mean burnout. That doesn't mean sleep 4 hours a day. Like I'm not promoting the hustle, go all in mentality. I've been there. It doesn't work. I'm promoting you do something with passion, day in and day out, consistently. You put in the time, and you avoid as many distractions as possible.
No, that's great. I think what you said about your now partner, very happy for you, by the way, that you have someone very supportive now. It's very mentally liberating, I feel like, to have someone who like you can go do things with them that you also enjoy doing. And if you do enjoy moving and creating a YouTube video, you can do that with them because they also enjoy it versus needing to split your time between I want to do this, but for the sake of this person, I have to do this other thing instead that I don't really want to do right now. And doing that
Hate
so
it.
often, it gets it gets a bit strenuous, having your attention and split like that. So having someone there who actually does understand you, and I like what you said about they're telling you, we could go out this weekend, but let's stay in or let's get some work done or let's work on this instead, as opposed to you having to always tell somebody, no, I can't, sorry, I need to do this thing instead. I think a lot of a lot of people don't understand the power, the pain it is to tell people no all the time. You don't want to. You don't want to tell the people you love no all the time. You want to say yes to things. And if there's times that you can't, that hurts. That's when it hurts the most. So having someone there who doesn't make you say no and says no for you or helps you avoid that situation, 10 out of 10.
Yeah, she even pushes me more than sometimes I want to. Like she wakes up at 4. I normally wake up at 4:30 or 5. I mean, it depends. So it's like she's pushing me to do things that I want to do, but it's hard for me to do them.
Mm-hmm.
Like filming a YouTube video Saturday, like right now, I just relax a bit more with work, which I probably shouldn't, but uh, because it doesn't feel great, because
Mm-hmm.
I like the warrior mentality. But sometimes, yeah, I want to relax on a Saturday, and having her say me, "No, you are not where you want to be. Let's make it happen," is like it's very valuable for sure.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about your diet now, or or how like your nutrition has changed over the years. Is there something that you like prioritize?
Yeah, my nutrition. It has gone from east to south to northeast. Currently, I still fast from time to time. It hasn't been proven by science that has any benefits on longevity or performance or anything really. more than just it's easier to restrict calories. But I just enjoy the benefits of like not having eaten anything today. I just feel more focused right now. That if I hadn't eaten anything, even if it's just protein and fats, which normally doesn't slow you down. So I normally have like 2 meals. I prioritize protein currently. I'm eating more meat than I've ever had in my entire life. Just because if I compare beef to chicken, I just see more vitamins here than I see here.
Mm-hmm.
And for the same amount of calories and protein count. So I'm prioritizing currently whole nutritious foods, which this nutrition is like a religion.
Mm-hmm.
So people, if a vegan is listening to this, would say like, what are you talking about? The vegetables has the most amount of vitamins and minerals. But I do believe a animal-based diet so far, for everything that I've tried on myself and that I've seen in others, it's probably the healthiest option to eat. Now, again, that's for me. That's where I'm feeling the best. And I've tried everything. I've tried keto, I've tried vegan, I've tried all type of shit. And this is where I feel the best. I don't react too well to heavy carbs, which sucks because they are like the king of performance.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to be very selective how much I eat them and which type of carbs I eat. So I eat mainly fruits, and I get some sweet potatoes, and rice. Because if I don't, I suck at
Mm-hmm.
planche and lever.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. I've never connected carbs to performance. How did you connect those two? Did you just, it was just something, I think you track your like training or so. So did you see like metric wise you were doing better having consumed heavy carbs
And I
versus
did
not?
the keto diet religiously for like 3 years when I was 23 until 26. And I remember not increasing reps on any single exercise for 3 years. So I had that experience. Now, in my current experience, if I do not eat carbs for a week, I might feel better mentally. I get less bloated. I feel lighter, which also helps in calisthenics. But you don't feel that power
Mm-hmm.
that carbohydrates give you. Now, many low carb advocates, which I'm probably one. I'm a low carb guy. If you compare it to the normal bodybuilding community of people that eat a lot of carbs, like I cycle my carbs. I cannot eat sweet potatoes every single day. I eat like sweet potatoes on Monday, and that lasts me like for the whole week in terms of energy, and the rest is like fruits. If I eat too many carbs, I just don't feel great mentally and even performance wise. Now, how did I? That's my experience, but data is data, and let's take away data and let's see real world. The best athletes in the world, they eat carbs.
Mm-hmm.
Strength athletes and power athletes and powerlifting and calisthenics, especially. If we're talking about running and marathon and endurance athletes, yeah, there are many ketogenic athletes that has proven to be strong. And I'm pretty sure there are many ketogenic athletes that are good in calisthenics. But would I believe it's optimal with everything that I know now? I don't think it's optimal. I think we don't need carbs. Our body can create glucose. We need glucose, which it can be created via fats or protein, but it is not as optimal as just getting that glucose externally for performance.
Mm. Makes sense. Interesting. I hadn't thought of
For
it
that,
that way. So do you just get all of your nutrients then from the food you eat, or do you also supplement with anything else?
I started supplementing again like a month ago. It has been a year that I didn't touch a single supplement.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Magnesium, fish oil, vitamin D, vitamin C, and that's it. Creatine, I'm staying away from it. I like because I remember that my strongest seasons has been without creatine, which sucks because creatine has a lot of benefits, even cognitive benefits. But I just have this season in my mind of 4 months where I was the strongest and I wasn't taking anything, not even
Mm-hmm.
creatine. So I have a new creatine that I bought with these supplements I bought, but I haven't started taking it because I just want to see. There's a lot of things happening in my life at the current moment. It's like, so I just want to see a stable performance without creatine, and then just add one thing in, which is something that I recommend. Don't add a bunch of shit, because then you don't know. Then you don't know what's happening, and you don't know what's working and what's not working. So I want to see how my works with this new supplement that I added, and with this new diet following, and then add creatine and see if I'm probably gonna get 1-2 kilograms of water. Should be in the muscle. It's actually in the muscle based on research. But I've talked to many professional calisthenics athletes, and the increase in strength doesn't uh, doesn't match what they lose in terms of weight. Like they feel so much heavier that even if they are stronger, it's like not worth it. But I've talked to other athletes that it's like, no, I can get 5 pounds, but because I feel so much stronger with creatine, then it's worth it. I gain a lot of water in general, but again, the water should be in the muscle. But yeah, creatine, I'm here and there. I want to take it. It's the same with carbs, because 1 gram of carb retain 4 grams of water, and I get loaded too easy or too pump, which also gives you strength, but also makes you feel heavy. So I would love to be able to eat more carbs. I would love to be able to drink creatine, and I probably can, but I need to have all the other things dialed in. Like I'm a very sensitive person. Like if I just eat something that doesn't feel right, my performance goes to shit for my standards.
I tried creatine 2 separate times, and both times I was like, this should be working. I should be feeling different. I felt nothing. I think that I've in the same boat as you of I really want it to work. And I keep going back to, did I do something wrong? Was I not taking in the right dosage? Was I not training the right way that I needed to? Was my nutrition not good outside of it, etc.? And I haven't tried it since like last year. I just dropped it. I was like, I'm not going to focus on this right now. I think I need to your point, dial in other things, and then see if it truly does supplement things. Because if I'm trying to take it, but everything else isn't dialed in, I don't think it's gonna give me the benefit that I want. And
but you might not notice it.
Yeah, that's also fair. I might not notice it as well.
It would be masked by your sleep deprivation. It would be masked by your stress. It would be masked by anything. So right now that my life is a chaos, I don't want to take creatine because like I just don't know. But if it's gonna be the creatine, or if it's gonna be that I'm less stressed because now everything is settling down.
Yeah, I've struggled with brain fog a lot.
Brain fog?
Oh, recently not recently, for the past year or so, I've struggled with brain fog a lot, and I zeroed in on 2 things. One, if I have any sort of food too early in the morning, for sure, because the thing you said about when you go through days where you don't eat anything and you feel super focused, I love that feeling. And so there's days when, like, if I'm flying or if I'm traveling, I'm like, I'm just not going to eat. Like, I'm not going to want to feel heavy. I feel so much better when I'm traveling, or like when we were moving from Texas to Pennsylvania, there was like a day where I just didn't eat when we were like traveling, and we were like picking up bags and moving things. I just felt really focused, knew what I had to do. I was very awake. I wasn't drowsy at all. And the second thing is granola and yogurt, which I swear by as my favorite breakfast of all time. It's like the easiest thing to do. It tastes great. It fills me up. But every single time I have it, and I'm a 9-to-5 worker, I work from home, so I would eat it at my desk and then work. Probably negative 80% productivity after having that around like 9:30, 10 o'clock a.m. And till this day, I have it in my fridge because it's really easy to go to, but I have to be really careful on the days that I eat it. Like, am I doing anything that I need to be productive for this morning? No. Okay, I can have some. But if I have to really focus and dial in, I can't. It just crashes me so badly that I can't focus.
I relate to that a lot. Like, I wish I could have breakfast. I wish I could eat more carbs, and I wish I could drink creatine. Well, creatine is in a different batch, but yeah, I see all many successful people having this huge breakfast, and I'm like, how? Like, I just cannot. And
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you one thing: the body that adapts to everything, and we have this called fat adapted people and carb adapted people, and that it's based on pretty much what you have done. So if you have fasted for a long time in your life, you're going to be probably more fat adapted. And if you have eaten carbs your entire life, you're probably going to be more carb adapted. So the same way that you describe, I cannot function if I eat, there is millions, billions of people that will tell you, if I don't have breakfast with carbs, I cannot function
Mm-hmm.
because they have done that for so long. And you put them in a fasted state, and they will be grumpy, they will crash, they will get hypoglycemia, they won't be able to train. And for you and me, if you give me bread in the morning, I'm done. I'm done. I'm going to bed.
100%.
So,
Sleeping right again.
so people that you might want to experiment. It's gonna suck the first 2 to 3 weeks, but if you want to become more carb adapted for any reason, I have my reason is to carbs are better for performance. I do believe that, at least in the strength world. So what I'm trying to do is just, or what they recommend, the data recommend, is just eat carbs before your training, or eat just more carbs in general. You're gonna feel crappy for the first couple of weeks, but then your body adapts to it. It's the same to say to a person that eats 6 meals a day, hey, you want to start fasting? He's gonna tell, hell fucking no. But
Mm-hmm.
then it's like, okay, it's gonna suck for 2 weeks, but then you're gonna find this magic of fasting. So
That's a
I
good
think it's
point.
just we're creatures of habit, and whatever we do repeatedly, the body literally adapts to it. But I've really tried hard to have breakfast with carbs, and it just doesn't work for me. I just feel amazing when I fast.
Mm-hmm. No, like I'm telling you, I have eaten nothing all day this morning. I woke up, I had some electrolyte water. That's it. And I don't have headaches. I'm not feeling brain foggy. I'm not feeling lightheaded. I'm not feeling sleepy. There's no way I was going to risk any of that for this. But no, that's a good point. That's a good point. Um, so then, how, I guess, with your recent, you know, I guess let me ask you this: how do you quantify success?
Although what?
How do you qualify or quantify success?
Peace and freedom.
So then, how do you deal with times when you don't feel success, or do you let yourself feel success?
I try to change my perspective as much as I can and accept life as it is, as it comes.
Interesting. Do you feel
A
like
very
you're in?
short answer for a
Yeah.
question, but
No, no, no. That's completely fine. I only ask because there's a growing population of people now that don't know how to deal with success, or don't know how to recognize their wins because they're too focused on the losses, too focused on like the forward. They don't let them feel good in the moment because they think, I can't feel good now. I haven't achieved what I want to achieve, or this isn't an achievement. Somebody else has already done it before me, so it's not really a success for me because they did it. It's granted, it's a good thing I did it or whatever, but I like that you have a definition of success. I think that's extremely
that I
important.
haven't achieved. That I
Yeah,
haven't achieved.
yeah,
Because I fall into that category. That's why I describe success as peace, because that's what it feels the most successful for me. And I do not feel successful because I'm not peaceful, because I feel like I'm not successful and I haven't achieved the things that I want to achieve,
mm,
even though everybody around me tells me like 99%, 99.9% of people will never get to your level in
mm-hmm,
terms of success. I'm like, I'm not where I want to be, and I'm not where I want to be in my peaceful state. So it's that constant battle of like, okay, I want to get further away, but I'm realizing more and more and more that to get to where I want to be externally, I really have to be peaceful. I need to really find that success inside of me.
Mm-hmm.
And even if I don't get further, I still need to find it anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Because what is success if you cannot enjoy it? What is
Right.
success if you're always stressed out?
Do you feel like you're an outlier in that respect then? Have you ever felt like what you're doing makes you an outlier? Um, Either in your community, the society that you're in, or that you want to be in? Like, have you ever felt outside of where you want to be or who you want to be with?
Outlier in which regard?
To put it into context, the way I see it is you have two groups of people. You have people who work for somebody else and people who work for themselves. And in any group, you can be normal within that group. But even
Yes.
in each group, you have outliers, right? You have the people who work for themselves, create their own thing, but even they don't feel like they're part of that group. They feel like there's something different that they want to achieve, something different that they're working towards. There's something different about them, maybe if they are aware of it or anything like that. And then there's some people who just, hey, I have a lawn mowing business. I provide for my family, and I do that. I feel like that's normal. You have your like businesses, but then you have the outliers, the people who create your Amazons, your Teslas, your SpaceXs, your honestly, I think like anybody who creates on social media to an extent is still an outlier. They're becoming less outliers now, but to an extent,
Yeah.
like there are outliers in that space too. So have you ever felt like you are an outlier, or have you felt like you're kind of doing the same thing as somebody else is, just in your own way?
I think we're kind of all the same in a way, because like I've heard these ones that successful people or high achievers have three things in common, and this is literally based on data. It's that we believe too much in ourselves, like we're too confident, but that's the number one. Number two, we pretty much hate ourselves and we feel insecure and we know that we are not where we want to be and we are not who we want to be. Those two together, like I know I can fucking make it and I'm not good enough. It's what moves you forward. The third one is emotional control. If you have those three things, you'll be successful. But it's painful. It's painful to hold two things at the same time that, oh, I want to get here because damn, I'm not there yet. While at the same time, I think I'm the shit, or I think I can do it. I think I know I can do it.
Do you have an ego? And I guess let me put it this way, because ego, there's a lot to unpack in that one word. In the normal sense, do you feel like you have an ego that says, um, like, I guess, what have you learned about your ego? I know we all have it, and as a high achiever, as a perfectionist, there's a specific type of ego that we have, where, not sure for you, but for me, it's literally anything that you want to do, you can do it. Literally anything, as long as you decide I want to do this, it's gonna happen. That's what my ego tells me. Um, Coupled with, to your point, the the dislike I have for myself. But do you what? I guess my question is, do you know what kind of ego that you have?
It's a heavy one.
Hmm, that's fine.
It's a difficult one. Um, Moments where I don't. It's not that I don't have an ego, but moments where I do not like it lessens. I feel two things. One, I can work more peacefully, but two, I feel like I don't need to work because I'm content. I'm like, I'm at peace. So I kind of like that, but I don't like that. And then there is this other ego, which is I'm not where I want to be. I'm not sufficient. And that's the ego that drive me to do things, but it's also the ego that paralyzes me, because it's the ego that makes me feel insecure, and it tells me that it's not where I want to be. So I think it's important to find like that, look at this for me, to find that balance where it's like I'm working towards the things that I want to work towards. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm really content and happy and peaceful at this moment in time. And that's hard. That's probably the hardest thing that we can do as humans. Having desires while being content with the present moment is probably the hardest two ideologies. Yeah. Two ideas that we can hold together in our minds.
I've never heard it put like that, but that is very, very heavy. And I agree with you. No, I was smiling as you said that, because you were explaining a lot of things that I've thought of in the past, where there's a period in time where I buried any sort of ego that I had because it never served me positively.
Have you read Ego is the Enemy?
I have not.
I have not either.
Okay.
So yeah, Ryan Holiday. Yeah, so we got a task. We gotta read that
100%.
book, because
Okay. There's homework for the next time we talk.
very against ego.
Um,
And I really want to listen to that perspective,
mhm.
because I think if you kill your ego, then how do you move? You know, like what's your soul, your spirit, your calling in life, like what is that really? So I think a healthy amount of ego is necessary, but I haven't dived too deep into that topic.
I'll share something with you then, for when you do dive into that topic. So back when I was graduating college and starting my full-time job as an accountant, I would call myself like the poster child for the American education system. Like, I did what I was supposed to do. Went to school, went to college, got a CPA, got a degree, joined a big, like, large accounting firm, did taxes. So I was super happy. At this point, my ego was still buried. So I was super happy, content, just working out in the evening, chilling with friends online in the evenings, just happy, because I wasn't creating something, I wasn't working towards something, I was just existing, I felt like. And as soon as I started the YouTube channel, I started the podcast channel, I started creating things that in my mind were like, before you leave this earth, this has to exist. This ego started like coming out of me again. But it was the I can do it ego. So I got more into that, fed it a little bit more. But what happened was, you can't pull one out and not pull the other out. And so the other one came out, and it said, "You really suck at this. I don't think this is what you should be doing. Look at these numbers. Look at these metrics." I fell into the trap of, when you're posting content online and when you're posting videos and posts and all these things, and you look at the numbers and you see, are people watching? Are people listening? Are people commenting? Like, is there any engagement? All of those things, right? And to an extent, that's sometimes important if you want to like really think about your own growth. But in the early stages, it's so detrimental to your mental health, because you're gonna have this ego that says keep doing it, and you're gonna have this ego that says you're shit. Like, you're not. It's not working. Why are you continuing to do it? But I realized I liked that more than being content, because every single time I felt content in life, it didn't feel nice. I would rather
Comfort is
yeah. I when I didn't have desires like that, I felt like I wasn't moving. But anytime like I continue to work on these projects, and my ego says, okay, you have a new project, you can 100% do it, I feel great. And then when I start it and I'm not doing it as well, my ego says, you're bad at this. And then they're constantly fighting. Keep doing it, you're bad at this. Keep doing it, you're bad at this. Keep doing it, you're bad at this. To the point where I've just now really balanced it to where if I see a number, I can see a metric, because I'll check my analytics and stuff. I'll say, that's cool, I like that. Immediately close, and then I'll go and move on to the next thing. I will not think about what went wrong in that video, what went wrong there, what can I do better. For me, it's like, okay, I appreciate everybody who looked at that. Next one. next one. And so if I keep forward looking, I don't have time for one ego to dwell on the past. And so I can really utilize one and keep the other one in the back of like, okay, you messed up. That's okay. You can keep going. You have a long time horizon. I'm also not a type A person. I'm not someone who can work all the time. I'm not a workaholic. I realize that a lot. That was probably the biggest realization of this year of like, I'm not a workaholic. I cannot spend 18, 20 hours a day working. And maybe that's because I haven't found what it is I want to work for, because I've yet to find that. But I still love my relaxation. I love my chilling. I love doing nothing. I'm at war with myself of 40% of myself wants to do nothing for the rest of my life and just exist. And then 60% says, no, we refuse to.
You're Pisces?
Sorry?
You're Pisces?
No, I'm a
Or
Libra.
not? You're a Libra,
Yeah.
okay.
But
Because I feel very related to that. Even though I have my workaholic times, right now I'm in that same spot where like I really enjoy my relaxation,
mm-hmm.
but I know I need to like work very hard, and then you start feeling guilty
Yeah.
or doubtful. Like, am I working on the right thing? Because if it was the right thing, I should be enjoying it. But it feels like it's the right thing because I enjoy it sometimes, but other times I don't.
Mm-hmm.
And that extent, I think sometimes you just gotta do the shit, whether you like it or not, whether you enjoy it or not. And that's what Stoicism teaches us in a way.
I agree with you. I spent the entire Tuesday finishing a book that I told myself like Monday night, I really want to finish this book. So then Tuesday, or this was after yesterday, sorry. So Tuesday night, I told myself I just either want to work out or finish this book on Wednesday. On Wednesday, all I did was read the book the entire day. And you would think, okay, you did what you wanted to do. You should be happy. And I ended the day, I was like, I didn't feel happy because I hadn't like worked, I hadn't gone to the gym that day, or I hadn't, scripted for this next video, or I hadn't edited, or I hadn't recorded, I hadn't done anything else except for I'm just sitting here and reading. That is beneficial for the fact that this is a book that I needed to finish to record the last video of the year that I'm trying to record. But it still didn't feel right, or I couldn't let myself just feel happy and content having done just one thing that day. Which is a testament to what you just talked about feeling guilty. So that's the next project to work on, is overcoming that. Of like, if only one thing happens today, that's fine. That's fine. Up until the time when it's not. For now, it's fine.
Yeah, and that balance between researching, learning, and then creating will always feel better.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we gotta learn to appreciate also the learning process, because
Mm-hmm.
without the learning process, this cannot happen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's hard. Yeah, when I research for a YouTube video, but I don't write a single word, I just don't feel accomplished. And when I write the whole script, I do feel accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in life in general, we should be able to feel accomplished regardless. And that's not a call for compliance. That's a call for acceptance of reality. That's not doing shit and being on your ass the whole day. That's, I'm gonna do what I can, the best that I can, in the most relaxed and happiest state that I can be. And you'll find that the happiest and more relaxed you are, the more you do,
Mm-hmm.
which is a very
it's a very paradoxical relationship of like, yeah, wanting to do things, feeling happy about them, but then when you do things you don't feel happy, you're like, nah, maybe was I doing the right thing, or was I not doing the right thing? With SaturnoMovement, I wanted to ask you, is this like the thing you want to do with the rest of your life? Do you feel like this is the purpose that you've built for yourself of, my life is the company, or are there other end goals and purposes that you've identified that you also want to work towards?
I don't know yet. And it's painful as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me, like, I would like to say yes, and it has always been. And for the first 3-4 years, I knew it was, and it still is. It's like I just want to grow this to the sky and beyond the galaxies. But it's like you said, we have this internal talk that we can do so many things more. And I haven't tried other things. I know I'm good at movements. I know I'm good at teaching, but what if I'm good at other things? I'm good at making music. I know that's not gonna be my career, but what if I'm good at, I don't know, other things? I mean, I've tried a
Mm-hmm.
lot of things. So painting is not the one.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm open. I'll put it that way. I want this to be my, and I feel like this is my life mission because it's changing so many lives, and that makes me feel fulfilled. But I'm open to the idea that this can transform into something completely different, and that might be okay.
That's nice. I like to hear that. Have you ever done the ideal day exercise?
I think I did it once, but I probably should do it again.
I do it every year now because I realized that from the first year that I did it, every single year that's changing. It, like you said, it's painful. It's absolutely painful to think one year this is what my ideal day would feel like 5 years down the line, and the next year you're thinking that's not what it was. That's completely opposite of what I want actually now. Um, but I feel like it
When you do,
helps.
yeah, when you do that, sorry to interrupt you. When you do that, do you put I'm gonna work on a project for hours, or you put I'm gonna work on this project for 4 hours? Like, how specific are you?
So the way I see it, so my ideal day, I always project it out. And so when I was doing this back in 2022 and I was starting content, my ideal day was not doing taxes all day. My ideal day was waking up, going for a walk, listening to a podcast, coming back, having some orange juice, sitting down, maybe recording or editing some videos for the first part of the day. Around lunchtime, I'd take off, go outside for a bit, do something outdoors, either read or go do something else, come back for the evening, spend time with family who I have at that point. That was the ideal day.
Okay.
When I did it again this year, I didn't know what that looked like but it wasn't exactly that anymore. It still wasn't. It still didn't have anything to do with taxes. So I know that at least I'm moving in a direction that doesn't involve my current day job. But um, I don't know what it looks like now. But it's still a form of work, reading, and family. So I know that maybe going like every time I work on something, it kind of like lets me think about, am I working towards what my ideal day is? And any time that I take off from work, if I feel like I don't want to work a certain day and I'll take off, it's not to sit home and do nothing. It's to try and enact out what an ideal day I have of myself. So if I take off on like a Tuesday, I'll wake up, I'll go for a walk, I'll go to the gym in the morning, come back, have breakfast, or go to the public library next to me, read there, come back, do some work, etc. Do work during the day, so then in the evening I can spend time with my wife, things like that. I'll work. I'll do a day the way I want to do it. I won't just think like I worked so much I just want to do nothing today, because that's not what makes me happy. It's not what my ideal day is. That's kind of how I see the ideal day exercise. It's kind of walking through like morning to night. Ideally, what would you be doing? I use a framework, obviously, like I have a framework of work, reading, play, family, because I don't know exactly what it is that I'd be working on, what it is I'd be reading, whether it's self-help books and things like that, whether it's fantasy novels, like my entire bookshelf back there, I don't know yet. But
How many books have you read?
I've been a reader all my life, but when I started really getting back into reading aggressively in 22, I think I read maybe like 30 books that year, and then in 23 I actually started, like, I have a Notion like table where I've accounted for every single book that I've read in the past 2 years. So as of now, it's up to like 150 or 80, with 30 to 40 books still to be read on that list. Um, but I like tracking all of that. I have a list I can send it to you. I have a sheet that actually tracks all the books that I've read and the reviews that I've posted for them. But that's what makes me happy. So I started tracking it. Also, because if
Do you
people
like
ask me,
audiobooks?
so audiobooks, no, because I reserve all audio for podcasts. That's the only way I would listen to a podcast, because I read so much physically that if I were to add audiobooks into like my diet, I would never listen to a podcast. So I don't read much like nonfiction books, because then I have podcasts for my learning and my education and things like that. And then I save fantasy novels as like the things that I read, because sometimes, yeah, I just want to get away from Earth. I kind of want to get away from my life sometimes, live in somebody else's world for a little bit. Gives me a nice perspective on the one that I have. Um, but I have friends who can't physically read, like they just can't focus, but then they like audiobooks. So either works.
More of an audiobook, but I'm trying to be more of a physical book one.
Hmm.
Have you tried audiobook and reading at the same time?
I haven't. I think for me, it's I have this fear of, like, there's a voice in my head that enacts an entire story. Like, I don't have aphantasia, so I play a movie in my head as I'm reading a book. So I like when a book has really good imagery, I'm dialed in. I can see the fight scene, I can see the courtroom, I can see all these things. But I have a voice that I put to each. I also have a voice that I put to each character. I think
Oh,
my fear is not enjoying the voice the orator puts to the character. I would rather enjoy the voice that I have of them.
yeah, I haven't read fiction yet. It's something that I want to get into it. I've heard that it's amazing for the mind in general.
Hmm.
Um, or for me, I feel like I will be losing time in a
Hmm.
way, but at the same time, it's like I know it's powerful.
Hmm.
So yeah, do send me some recommendations
I'll
for
send you
sure.
the entire list. Yes, sir. So then this actually really segues nicely into the next thing I want to ask you is, have you listened or read anything like interesting lately? And it can be anything.
I'm getting into the stoicism because like I've heard about that long time ago when I was like 20,
Hmm.
but never like really understood it fully, 20
Hmm.
years old. And right now I'm just reading literally the classics. The Obstacle is Away, The Daily Stoic, just Ryan Holiday work.
Hmm.
And interesting. It's an interesting perspective. And I think it's what I need in my life right now to navigate all this turbulence.
Hmm. Is there something that like stands out to you more than like, is there like an insight or a way of thinking that has like stood out to you?
Just the basic of stoicism, which is like trying not to see something great and something bad as something bad, just seeing as what it is.
Hmm.
I haven't mastered that.
Hmm.
And that's what I'm really trying to practice. Like a lot of catastrophes and loss of a loved one has happened, and many things have happened this month
Hmm.
that I that I'm finding myself seeing it as a bad thing, even though like I'm very good at accepting things, but I'm still seeing an emotional response in my physical body
Hmm.
that I want to learn to control. Because I know life will get harder and
Yeah.
harder and harder, and I don't want to be emotionless. I think I will never be able to be emotionless, but I do want to be able to deal better with those emotions.
It does help to compartmentalize. I agree with you. Um, I recently started therapy for the first time ever in November after not feeling like myself for a whole year, almost a year and a half. Which I always say like that, but then I remember one time I told somebody that they said, "Didn't you get married this year?" I was like, "Yes." Besides the fact that I got married to the love of my life and I moved in with her, the rest of around that tough mental year, and I realized just with the first month and a half of therapy of as emotionally available that I thought I was, there's still a lot of spots where like a lot of like blind spots or triggers or it had made me realize that I do want to be an emotional person, but I really want to compartmentalize of like I don't want to do this thing with emotion. I want to do this thing with logic because I'm naturally just a logical person, a less emotional person. But I want to be very emotionally available when I'm with family and friends and share thoughts, share feelings. I don't like I'm trying to go away from men don't share their feelings as much anymore. I'm trying to really go towards, as a man, sharing what you're thinking, how you're feeling to your fellow men, and even to your, maybe your non-male family members of like, here's how I'm feeling, um, here's what I'm thinking, etc. But I agree with you. Like compartmentalization has been tough. once you're like trying to do all that work.
100%.
You already, I always ask this at the end of the podcast, but I know you said it at the beginning, but I usually ask someone, what is one piece of advice you'd like to tell somebody? So in the event that you want to add a second one to what you said previously, is there anything that you would want to tell somebody listening about anything? One piece of advice.
Eliminate distractions, any type of distractions as much as possible. And realize the harm that they're doing to you. Like literally sit with them and see how much grabbing your phone for 5 minutes can destroy your life. Literally, and it's not an exaggeration. Like literally internalize how procrastinating that piece of work and just laying down on your couch can destroy your life. Don't be too hard on yourself, but there are too many distractions nowadays. And feel like we are not happy or fulfilled because we're not doing what we're meant to do, or because we don't have this ideal life. The reality is because we're simply not here, we're not present, and all those little things are the things that are taking us away from that piece.
That's amazing. I recently got an app to help with that, because I fall into that bucket of like picking up my phone anytime. Like it's a very classic example, as people who work a 9 to 5 will say, when you click on something on your computer and you're waiting for it to load, and then you pick up your phone, that loading thing would have taken 10 seconds and you just spent 5 minutes on your phone because you just picked it up while that other thing was loading, because you wanted some sort of distraction in the middle time. Yeah. Great advice. Well, Gabo, I really appreciate you for chatting with me. Where can people find you?
Before that, I need to appreciate you for that thing that you have on your right, or is your right, your my left? Yeah, the humidifier. I saw that on your Instagram. And you pretty much literally, I think you saved my marriage, bro. I'm not even gonna exaggerate.
Oh, that's crazy.
I got sick, and I'm not a snorter per se, but yeah, I've been snoring since I got sick, and I have some seasons. Like if I am like upside up on my bed, or if I crash too hard, I'm too tired, like I dream too hard, like I can get there. And my future wife hates it, like hates it to the point like it's a big red flag. I mean, she loves me, and she's like, okay, but we need to do something about this. And I'm like we're not sleeping separate for sure. And I know snoring, like I'm not gonna stop snoring to make you happy. I'm gonna find a way to stop snoring, because I know it's a problem that can lead to me down the road. So I saw that video. We bought the humidifier. I haven't snored in the last week and a half since we bought it. So
let's go.
Yeah. So
we have one downstairs and upstairs. It's too good. But I'm glad it helps. Have you tried the eightsleep yet?
No, because I bought a $5,000 mattress 2 years ago, and before eightsleep ever came out, or before I saw it. And I mean, it's a great mattress and it's comfortable and whatnot. And yeah, I do not want to invest right now. I mean, I could reach out to them. I probably should reach out to them, and they'll probably get it for me. I probably should.
I just wanted to ask.
I'll put it somewhere on my list. But do you have it?
That was actually the one thing I invested in when I moved from living with my parents to living alone, starting in 22. I was like, I'm nutcase over my sleep. Like, it does not matter. Like, I will do anything during the day, but I will sleep at the time that I need to sleep, because my body will wake up at 7:30 a.m. every single day, no matter what I do. So I got the eightsleep, and I used to be like a hot sleeper. I would wake up in the middle of the night and all that stuff. And since I got it, I don't do any of that. Quite literally, like
it's 100% worth it.
I have not stopped talking about it since I got it. And then so I convinced one of my friends who just graduated and moved here to DC. I convinced him to get it, And he was like, bro, this is so good. Because you can also split it between you and your spouse. So like my wife loves to sleep hot. She puts like more blankets on her, and I sleep ice cold. And so we so I have the setting separate for her of like you take your heat and then I'll take my cold. And then we don't have any
What
issues
if
there.
you're like what if you go to her side? Like, doesn't it feel weird? Like this side is cold and this side is not like.
It does, which is
I've
why
always
I keep my legs on my side and I just put my arm over her. It's just so like I need my feet to be cold. I cannot, either my feet are sticking out of the blanket or they're on the mattress and they're cold. Otherwise, like there was one day where I slept hot last week and I woke up at like 3 a.m. to use the bathroom because that's just what happens when I sleep hot. I woke up and I told her I'm angry. I have not had my sleep interrupted like that in 3 years. It was that like interesting of a response that I had. But I recommend that to people who I know like their sleep as well, or who probably value their sleep.
yes.
And but no, getting back to it. Where can people find you? Where can I send people?
Uh, YouTube/SaturnoMovement.com, Instagram/SaturnoMovement.com, Facebook/SaturnoMovement.com, and then the same for Gabo Saturno. So YouTube slash, no, I don't have a personal YouTube channel, so Facebook/Gabo Saturno and Instagram/Gabo Saturno, and that's pretty much it.
Nice.
Just put Saturno movement and
Yeah,
you'll find me somewhere.
they're like stacked on each other. It'll come up now.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you for having me, brother. It was an honor.